Hello, sports fans. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications toggle so you never miss a thing. All of our content up here every day. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and we'll see you on the radio.
Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time!
3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming at you on this Friday. Glad to have you, and glad to have Todd Leary, more importantly, from myjumpshot.com. Todd, how are you, sir?
I am terrific. How about yourself?
Cannot complain. It's Friday of a short week, but it kind of sucks because we've had those short weeks 2 weeks in a row, and next week reality comes slapping you back in the face.
No doubt.
And speaking of reality slapping you in the face, it looks like we're going to get slapped in the face with about a foot of snow.
Yeah, we're going to get to fight all of the demons at one time, and that reality slapping you back in the face trying to get into a normal schedule again is not easy to do for every right after the first every year.
Well, especially it's cold. It's and it's hadn't been that bad, but it's going to hit right at the same time of that. And so, and then people, yourself, everyone that has to be out. We don't get snowfalls like this anymore. Hardly ever. I mean, when I was a kid, they were pretty common. And now it's like, what's that you talk? It's now a big snowfall is like the rotary phone.
It
like
is.
People are like, have you ever seen one of those videos where they give a rotary phone to like an 18 or 19-year-old
kid?
kid?
Yeah.
They cannot figure it out. I'm like,
nope.
Oh my God. It's like I grew up in the freaking 1800s.
Yeah, I know.
It makes you feel that way. Last night had to be a mixed night for you. I understand. I'll get this out of the way quickly. Georgia goes down to Notre Dame, and I'm only saying that he has Georgia in his family, so it's he is a fan by
the important part of the family that needs to be the side that needs to be happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I was happy to see again. People keep forgetting about the home field. Indiana lost to Ohio State and to Notre Dame on the road at those places. These other games that are being played on neutral site locations, it's like that is not even being taken into consideration by a lot of those the national pundits early on. And I'm like, dude, that matters. It matters big. There's a reason why all 4 home teams won dominantly.
Yeah, well, it's just, I don't know, ironic's not the right word. It's just interesting to play along right after, I think, not just Kurt Herbstreit, and I like Kurt Herbstreit a lot. I love his commentary during games and that stuff, but I really I didn't agree with this take that he had on a couple of the teams not being, at the same level as some of the other teams that were in there. And then when all 4 teams with a bye get beat, kind of shoots that argument out the window because they were definitely supposed to be the best 4 teams and they all lost. So it just the whole thing played out in kind of a unique way that I doubt we'll see too many times in the future, but it's definitely interesting.
Absolutely. And we'll talk more about that on the show later on. We're here to talk about Indiana basketball and getting a much, much needed win over a Rutgers team that was had one hand behind its back They did not have Dylan Harper, and if you don't think that was huge, people, his running mate, Ace Bailey, both freshman phenoms, he filled in 39 points, 16 of 29, 4 of 8 behind the arc, only 3 of 8 at the free throw line. That's a place that is a place where both teams sucked. But Rutgers left money on the table, man. They were only 14 of 23 at the free throw line. On the road, you can't do that.
Right.
Especially when you're shorthanded like they were. Indiana didn't do a lot better. They were 16 to 25. Bad free throw shooting nights, but Indiana has a very balanced effort. They got scoring from everyone. They got 3-pointers from 6 different players, Todd. There have been games where it takes 6 games to get a 3-pointer from 6 different guys. But last night it was flowing. The shots were falling. Not the 2-point shots where they only shot 39% overall. They shoot 44% on 27 3-point attempts. Kind of back where you'd like to see them as from a number standpoint, and they hit 12 of those.
Yeah, and like we're kind of celebrating the fact that our team looked like what the average looks like, maybe a little bit above average, but the average team generally makes, 9, 10, 11, 12 3-pointers in a game. And I know that's the high end of it. I get it. But the teams that compete for the NCAA tournament and the national championship, those teams generally average more 3-pointers. And hey, they played really well last night. Guys made shots. Ace Bailey was incredible. Like I a little disappointed because I wanted to see Dylan Harper play as well. Yes. I mean, you're only Indiana fans are only gonna get to see him this one year because both of those guys will get drafted in the top 5, I'm sure.
Yes.
And so it just what an incredible performance from Ace Bailey. Like he doesn't get to do that. Like he would not have had that many points had Dylan Harper been in the game. Because
he was their only player in double figures.
Yeah. And I mean, a guy that shoots 29 times, I mean, he's incredible. I've been saying ever since I saw him in the McDonald's All-American game, he might be the best player in the country. Cooper Flagg, I think, still is, but Dylan Harper's also making a case for who's the most valuable player to be on a team. But yeah, just incredible shot making. But when you shoot 29 times, you should probably score 39 points.
And I'm telling you though, a lot of the shots were tough shots.
The harder shots he made, like that was the incredible part. Some of those step backs and his footwork, like the footwork that he showed was professional footwork. Like that's what the pros do, and it was pretty to watch.
Well, he was pretty much unstoppable, and it wasn't for a lack of trying. I'll give Indiana all the credit in the world because half of his shots, I'm like, oh my God, how did he hit that? Either somebody's in his face or whatever the case may be. He was just hitting unbelievable. He's a shot maker. I mean, it was fun to watch him without question. Indiana, a very balanced attack led by Miles Rice, 21 points, 6 of 15 from the field, 8 of 8 at the free throw line, 5 rebounds and 3 assists to go along with that. Then you had Umar Ballo, who came off the bench after an injury to Malik Renew very early in the game. But Ballo responds, has not played in a little minute, but he goes 7 of 13, 17 points. But he was only 3 of 9 at the free throw line. It makes up for it a little bit with 12 rebounds, which is he gets his big double-double. But, again, Indiana not good at the free throw line. It was very odd. They were knocking down 3-pointers but couldn't hit a 2-pointer hardly to save their life.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you saw Ace Bailey fall into that same category. I mean, the guy he made 2 fall-aways from the corner and out in 3-pointers, and at the same time went 0 for 3 at the free throw line during that exact same stretch. So it was just again, it shocks me when guys are not good free throw shooters, but to a guy that stat line won't jump out to you, but we're already back at that point, and honestly, I think Mike Woodson got to that point yesterday as well. that Anthony Leal just settles everybody down. Like Anthony Leal's stat line's never going to be incredible, but he always seems to make the pass that he makes at the time you're not sure it's right, and it seems to work out. And I think that we're back at the point where they kind of got to last year a little bit, when there's going to be spells in games when I think Anthony Leal has to be on the floor, because he just settles everybody down and gets everybody in the right place, and that things seem to flow better offensively and defensively when he's on the floor.
Mackenzie Mbako had a nice night, 16 points, 5 of 13 from the field, 3 of 7 behind the line. He was one of 3 Hoosiers that hit 3 triples. Luke Goody, one of the others, and Trey Galloway, 3 of 6. Luke Goody, 3 of 5. Goody getting the start in place of Umar Ballo. But a nice night for Goody. Indiana had 4 players in double figures, but he had 9. He was right there. They could have had a 5th one very easily. It was just a well-rounded game. It was a balanced attack by Indiana.
Yeah, it was. And the interesting thing to know would have been, was the Ballo not starting? Did Mike Woodson like what he saw in the last game with Goody being out there? Is that something we could have trended to? The injury to Malik Renew, I'm going to completely speculate, and I'm going to tell you this is complete speculation. But based on my interactions with Dr. Rink, who took him back into the locker room, and then he sat next to for the rest of the game, when a guy comes back out on the floor, if it's a pretty serious, going to require surgery injury, they generally don't come back out on the floor. And so I thought that was a good sign that he was back out there. And I would say they were just being cautious at that point.
It's one of the first questions I asked someone sitting next to me later in the game. I'm like, is Renew over there? Because I couldn't tell. And I kept, is Renew back out there? Because for that very reason, I knew if he's not out there, then they're dealing with something, and they're back there working on it or whatever the case. They come back out. I'm like, all right, here's a bag of ice. It's probably precautionary, to be honest with you. I think it may have been his knee. I don't,
It was. I mean, you could see it on the replay, and Goody fell backwards into his knee. And it kind of hyperextended. You could see it. Like it's one of those that it didn't look that bad, and it could be terrible. A lot of those don't look like horrific injuries, and they just end up being that bad. But I think this is going to be more of a sprained whatever ligament, and something that he'll be able to hopefully play through a little bit.
And this forced Mike Woodson to. First of all, the Ballo thing forced Woodson to do something different with the lineup.
Right.
This lineup. And even with Renew going out, it didn't change because Ballo and Renew just changed spots. It seemed like they got into a much better rhythm this way, though. But I definitely defer to you. What did you see with this type of lineup?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there will be certain circumstances when playing both big guys on the floor makes sense. I don't think it's something that, in my opinion, I'd rather it not be where that is the plan, and that's what we do for 22 minutes a game. Like I would prefer it to be a situation of, there are situations that they do need to both be on the floor together, but I hope that at least this way we see more flow and up and down. I think Miles Rice is more comfortable in his role when they're playing like this. So I think it's just better for all of them involved.
Yeah. And it was the shooting though, for a team that has just not talking about last month. I'm talking about the last couple of games. They could not hit water from a boat. And last night they couldn't miss. They shoot better from 3 than they do the field. Not many teams do that when you put up 27 attempts. That's hard to do, but they did. They looked fluid. They didn't look like they were forcing many of the shots, or there were a couple of shots that were probably ill-advised, but other than that, most of them were good shots.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they were. I mean, I think Mbako forced a couple, but I don't even say that negatively. I'd almost be mad at him if he didn't force a couple every game, because he's liable to make those. And so, you know, he's the one guy I think you maybe give a little more rope to than everybody else. But, you know, we're celebrating Indiana making the high average of what teams across the country make in a game. And so all I'm saying is that I would like for that to become a little closer to normal. They don't have to make 12 every game to win, but I do think that they're in a situation where they, you know, it's got to become a bigger part of their arsenal than what it, I think, it was intended to be to start the year.
And this ISC says Indiana played harder. Ballo definitely seemed to play harder. I don't know that he expected to play. Maybe he would have played regardless at the first timeout or first break for Renew. I don't know. But when he went down, he had to instantly come in. But he responded. And as a matter of fact, last night when someone asked Woodson about was that you know, him coming off the bench, was that disciplinary or planned, whatever, and he goes, let's talk about the 17 and 12. And so he just quickly diverted to that, which
and who cares? Like that. That's what,
I get it. I mean, anybody that expects them to talk about this stuff, I'm like, where have you been your entire athletics life? Nobody does that. They're not going to sit up there and say, well, he got caught speeding, or he stayed out late, or he, whatever the case. They're not going to do that. And I don't understand why people expect that. I don't really give a, well, yeah. Anyway, he responded, but he seems to respond, but they need to get him where he's not responding, but that is his bar.
Ballo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the announcers last night were even they commented on the fact that I think Indiana's the description a place would an analyst would give of Indiana this year is they're inconsistent. And I think you can go each player is inconsistent. The team as a whole is inconsistent. But if you had to name the one guy, like if you ask me who I think has been the most consistent player all year long, I would say Ballo. I mean, I think he gives you what I think you expect to get from him. He shores up the rebounding. I wasn't sure he would be as good a rebounder as like what Trace was and that stuff, or as what Ware and Renew, the combo of them last year was. But he is like, he's that long, he's that big, and he has fixed something we don't talk about a lot is Indiana getting out rebounded a ton, and that's because he's just shored that gap up, and that's a big deal. At Hatton, when he got to come in, those rebounds that he got were a big deal. And you know, I think that's why I would put him in the category of, I think he's been the most consistent player for Indiana.
Yeah, he's just missing, averaging a double-double right now at nearly 13 points and over 9 rebounds a game. That's a nice piece to know you're going to get every game. That helps immensely. But and seeing the balanced scoring last night from Indiana, that's something that we haven't seen a lot of, where they're getting a lot of guys involved. Four players in double figures, could have been 5 easily. Luke Goody with 9 points on his night, 3 of 5 shooting overall, all of those coming from behind the 3-point line. That's a hell of a thing when you got a guy that can knock that down. That's a great little addition.
And honestly, like when shots are starting to go down for one player, for example, it is contagious. I know technically it's really not, but I mean it is contagious. Guys feed off of it, and other guys that maybe aren't technically great shooters make shots because everybody's confident and the momentum's flowing and the crowd's flowing, and you know, you feed off of all of that, and you feed off of negativity as well. And when shots are not going in, you know, that works that way too. And so last night, shots started going down, and guys took advantage of it, and Indiana played like I think we expected to see them play. It's just, it's January 2nd, and that's really one of the first times I think we've seen them just look like they were in control of the game throughout.
Yeah, and I wonder, with Renew being forced to the sideline, not giving Woodson the opportunity to run them together, did that change things in your eyes, do you think, just from analyzing the game, watching this game, how it's been?
I think that that's probably pretty accurate. I think he would have played them definitely together, and I'm not opposed to that. Like I said, I think there's situations where that might win a ball game for you, and it might, but I don't think it's going to win enough ball games to win the Big Ten for you. People can adjust to that, and so I think that the coaching staff, when asked the question, "What's the identity?" and still, I think at this point, I think they opened the broadcast last night on the game, talking about they're not sure what Indiana's identity is, and I think they're learning their identity a little bit more. I think Mike Woodson learned a little bit more about their identity. I don't know it's defined yet. I still can't quite define it, but I can tell you it's leaning more in a faster paced direction, the direction I think we wanted it to go.
Now, one thing, this is a great question from Chris. Asked Todd what he thinks what is going on with Bryson Tucker. He cannot buy a shot now. Big change from early on. Yeah, last night he only 10 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 4 shooting. He was one of the only guys that did not have a decent night. No other stats to speak of, no rebounds, whatnot. Mackenzie Mbako added 7 rebounds to his tally, 5 for Goody. The offensive rebounds, but in addition to the 3-point shooting, just destroyed Rutgers. 18 offensive rebounds last night, Todd. But more importantly, that led to 34 second chance points. Of course, that does not have anything to do with Bryson Tucker, but yeah, is he just going through a little freshman?
I mean, look, he is a freshman. It's the Big Ten. And it is sometimes hard. Like, I don't think a lot of guys get enough credit that come in off the bench. It's not always easy to get yourself into the flow, and especially if things are going well. A lot of times when guys come in off the bench, they're being asked to create some kind of positivity or energy or flow or whatever you want to call it. And last night, Indiana already had it. And then you're asking Bryson Tucker to come off the bench and, jump right into it. And it just didn't work for him last night. It did work for some other guys. It didn't work for Kanan Carlisle last night. I didn't think he really ever got into the flow of the game. I thought he forced some shots. Thought he had some bad fouls. But
1 of 7.
There will be other games where he's, he is the guy that comes in and is the spark. And Bryson Tucker's the same way. And I think Bryson Tucker being a freshman, we got to see a little bit of why he's a 5-star to start the year out. But I think we have to be a little patient also with him and understand that, he's going to have some games when he's just not as consistent and doesn't make shots.
Yeah, you're not gonna be a superstar every night, and he has shown a lot of talent. Now he's not ace.
He's shown some limitations too. He's shown some
Exactly.
limitations, and that's played like a freshman. He's shown that he struggles to defend from time to time. He takes some bad shots, and I think he's played kind of like a freshman in sometimes. Now he's played better than that sometimes as well, and when he shoots the ball well, and which Indiana is going to need him to do. I mean, don't write him off, like, because he had an off game last night. Like, he might be the leading scorer the next game. So let's not write him off. He's still got tons of potential out there.
Now, this seemingly is rolling much better with the current style of lineup, but I'm pretty certain that, like you said, they would have played last night, that when Malik Renew is able to return, we'll probably quickly see both the big guys in the lineup at the same time. And I just really wonder, is the way things are right now, better. It allows them to be freer flowing, better movement. Something I did notice last night, though, from both teams, fast break points combined between both teams, 13. So
yeah, it's the Big Ten. That's not that abnormal for the Big Ten. You just don't get a lot of run outs and and then also think back to what Rutgers was running last night. I mean, they ran a lot of pro sets and just tough shots were being made by Ace Bailey. So that number is not super surprising in the Big Ten. This is conference season now, and it's what's going to be.
And I understand that from a standpoint of tradition and going back. If I think back to the Bob Knight's teams, to Gene Katie's teams, to Tom Izzo's teams early on, but there's been so much change, coaches, players, the game, the transfer portal, but yet the Big Ten is still kind of the Big Ten. How does that happen with all of the change that is surrounding the game?
I mean, it's a little surprising that with the coaching, all the different coaching changes at different teams, that someone's style hasn't come in. And, but you look at Iowa. Iowa plays as fast as anyone in the country, like literally anyone in the country. We have some different styles. It just when it gets down to the end of the game, it seems like things slow down in the Big Ten. Teams come down, run an offense, and it generally ends up in some type of battle in the paint, and that's why I think the Big Ten gets the labeled as a super physical league, and that doesn't always translate. The Big Ten has not had elite shooting. I will say that. I don't think you can go across the Big Ten teams over the last 15 or 20 years, and they've not been elite shooting when you look at them across the country. And that is, I think that's translated into the NCAA tournament and why the Big Ten hasn't won a national championship in so long.
Brian says that he doesn't feel like they would have won that game if Dylan Harper had been playing. We'll never know, but he says there were some bright spots. Leo's defensive effort. I will point out there was Leo was on Ace Bailey around the top of the key, and he's moving, he's trying to get his shot working, and Leo worked his ass off to not let him, and he didn't let him get an easy shot off, and he hit it right in his face, and I'm like, there's nothing you could do about that. I mean, nothing. It was wild to watch some of the shots he hit. I mean, he had a hand in his face, but playing games like this is good for Indiana. For another reason is it forces them to play a higher tempo of defense. And I think that their next game, when they travel to the Palestra, and daggone it, I wish I was going to that game. Have you ever been there?
Nope.
It's in Philadelphia, a very, very famous arena, but they will be playing Penn State there. We'll get to that soon. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and take our break so we can talk more about Indiana basketball, reviewing the game with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights last night, and we'll talk about their next matchup with a tough Penn State team at the Palestra in Philadelphia. The shot doctor, Todd Leary from myjumpshot.com, is with us. Make sure, for those of you that if you have a kid, know a kid, are a kid, family, great gift for a nephew, niece, needs help on their game, fundamentals, shooting. The Shot Father knows how to do it. Go to myjumpshot.com. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. and that's the hard truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the hard truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's C-O-Y-L-E, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, the third day of January of 2025, and we've got the shot father from myjumpshot.com, Todd Leary. Make sure great gift. I just thought of that. What a great gift that is year round for birthdays or whatever. But Todd Leary with us, and last night Indiana got back on. Probably one of the is this the best win of the season for Indiana, Todd, on paper?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
They managed to do it. No field goals in the last 3 minutes of the game yesterday as Rutgers pushed them to the very end, but they just could not get close enough. Rutgers had an early lead, and then Indiana made a charge. They got a little bulge and was able to maintain that. Of course, I think that shot that Anthony Leal hit at the half, as crazy as it was a huge shot in the arm. You're going into the locker room with a 3-point shot like that put him up like 41-34, I think. Just gave him a little cushion and came out, and they did not allow they did a hell of a job on Ace Bailey in the second half for a long time. He had 19 first half points. He put up, how many shots did he put up? 14 attempts in the first half. He was 8 of 14. He was on fire, man. And 4 rebounds. But then in the second half, they held him to 2 points for at least the first 10 or 11 minutes of that half. But he would eventually, and he only had 4 shots up in the first 10 minutes of the half, but he made up for it. He ended up going 8 of 15 in that half and scoring 20 points in the second half. He only had 2 points 10 minutes into the second half. So that's 18 freaking points in the final 10 minutes of the game. People, I think Indiana was pretty fortunate that Rutgers was without Dylan Harper. That's probably goes without saying.
No, there's no question about that. But also, Ace Bailey would not have been taking the same shots that he was taking if Dylan Harper was in this game. So
absolutely,
it's not like you can just say they lost by 10 and that guy averages 20. They would have easily won. I just wanted to see, we love watching good basketball, and Dylan Harper is an incredible, talented player and one of my favorite players to watch play. I loved watching his dad. I thought he was a really important part of the Bulls teams. And so, I would have loved for them to have beat them at full strength. But I don't think it takes anything away from the victory. They needed this win, and they got it in a pretty convincing fashion. I mean, a 10-point win in the Big Ten that's a pretty good cushion. And you'll take that, on any day. This Rutgers team can literally go into any arena and win across the country. They are that talented. They can also lose to a lot of teams they shouldn't lose to, but just because they're young, but they're extremely talented.
Oh, they were very active. Their big man, he'll post up against anybody. I mean, he was
big.
Getting block shots.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And he's not as big as Ballo, but he's big enough that he's not going to get shoved around, but blocking shots, and did a great job rebounding. 8 rebounds for Ace Paley in the game, in addition to for Williams. But the offensive rebounding, as I mentioned earlier, what an anomaly. 18-7 bulge there. But is that mainly because of Indiana taking more 3-point shots?
It's not only because of that, but it's got something to do with that. A lot of it's effort. A lot of it's guys playing hard. I think Anthony Leal is a big part of that. It always seem like he always ends up with an offensive rebound or a tip in or something like, and he's always the smallest guy on the floor, like almost always. And so it comes down to effort. And that's just he's one of those guys that I think gets everybody's engine going a little bit more. And that's why he is not, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, because I don't think I would have ever fallen into that category either, but he is not one of the top 5 most talented players on Indiana's team. But in my opinion, he's one of the 5 most important players that are on the floor.
Most valuable.
Yep.
Without question.
He makes everybody else. He raises everyone else's level of play up. And I don't know. It's really difficult because I'm not here advocating he should start. He should play 35 minutes a game. I think however they figure out a way to sprinkle in his 17 to 28 minutes a game, I think that they should try to figure out how to do that, because you can almost use him as an igniter for other guys, because he'll make other guys play better.
I agree, and I also agree. There's like there's an expiration date. You need to use just enough, because if you go too far, you're gonna give up too much.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be on there to start there. I'm not saying he should start, because I like him coming in and having that energy and kind of shoring things up when they start the substitution patterns. And so I do think he should play a lot, but I'm not advocating for a starting position at all. I actually think that'd be the wrong move. But
absolutely, without question. And now Trey Galloway has moved into the starting lineup. It's kind of a permanent thing for Kanan Carlisle, it looks like. He did play 15 minutes last night, but very quiet. 3 points, 1 of 7 shooting, 1 of 4 behind the 3-point line. He had the worst shooting night probably of anyone, but Trey Galloway has worked his way into that starting spot because Mike Whitson feels more comfortable with him out there, and he responded, actually. I mean, 4 of 11 last night. He was 3 of 6 behind the 3-point line. His 3-point shooting woes of the last year to have been able to go away. Why? I don't know. Did he just work on his shot?
Oh, you can tell. Look at it. His shot looks different than it did last year. He's definitely worked on it over the summer. So a lot of credit to him for that.
He looks a lot more confident when he takes it, because a lot of times he'll take the shot. As soon as that ball hits his hands, he's squared up and he's ready to take the shot.
Well, he had a hitch in his shot last year. I think you didn't have to be a shooting coach to recognize that. I mean, he had a definite hitch in it, and he's fixed that. He doesn't have it at all anymore. And you give him a lot of credit over the summer that obviously that was something that he worked on. and put a lot of effort into, because he's a much more consistent, better shooter this year. You can rely on him to make a couple of shots like that every game, and they're going to need it because I think you're right. I think he's earned his way to be in that starting lineup, and I think they play better with him on the floor in that capacity. Only if he can make shots, though. I mean, and I'm not saying if he has a bad shooting game, that means he should come out. Like, you're going to have bad shooting games, but consistently, I think he's doing a much, much better job.
Well, this Sunday, the Hoosiers travel to Philadelphia for a matchup with Penn State, which I don't know, it might be lucky for Indiana that they're not going to that coffin that you play at Penn State, but they're playing at the Palestra, which is one of the iconic venues in the country. Old school spot there in Philadelphia. Let's see, Indiana probably won both of their titles there in the Spectrum, I think. But
yeah, probably.
The Palestra has been around for quite some time. But this Penn State team has been one that, boy, you damn sure cannot ignore them. You have to take them straight up legit, because they've beaten Purdue. They've done some things. I think they're going to be one of those teams that they win games that you don't expect and they lose games that you don't expect. So I don't know what to expect in this venue for Indiana coming off of this win, the way they're playing right now, if they can carry that momentum.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State has a very veteran team that has a bunch of guys that have played a whole lot of important minutes. So they're not just old players. They're not just old in year of eligibility. They've played a lot of minutes. And so together, and that's a big deal, obviously, I think now with the portal and all that. So, yeah, they're going to be one of those teams that can beat anyone on a given night. They're probably, like you said, probably going to lose some games that you might question. But that's a place where, I think the winner of the Big Ten, if we looked at it at the end of the year, is going to go into a couple of places. I'll name like a Penn State and like a Northwestern and like it's somewhere like that, and steal a couple on the road. And I think this is a good timing and a good opportunity for Indiana to go. Purdue had a good opportunity to go, in that early conference stuff that they played and go into Penn State and steal a win. And Penn State slammed that door early. Like they blew Purdue out of that game. So, it's not going to be easy, but I definitely think it's a place you could go in there. And if you played well and got things going, you can get a W.
Well, I guess the only thing they're going to have against them is, even though this is far from the Penn State campus, it's going to be in Philadelphia. So I'm sure they can find some Penn State fans. And Philadelphia's city of brotherly love, my butt. I said that's like one of the toughest cities to play a sport in anything, man. They're ruthless in Philadelphia, and they may not have anything to do. So they're like, hey, let's head to the Palestra and shake things up.
Yeah, I don't think their football game matters this weekend. Does it? The Eagles game?
I thought you were talking about Penn State.
Oh no, I mean it's going to be in Philadelphia. Philadelphia probably has a home game this weekend.
Yeah, but that just get them revved up. But this game at the Palestra, it's another opportunity for Indiana, and they have to look at this as an opportunity because you have to find places to steal wins on the road. This is one of those places in one of those games.
It is. And I'll tell you, like you don't just go in there with this big open blank mindset of, we've got to play well. Like you have to legit have goals that you're trying to accomplish. And I'm telling you, you get to the point in road games. And I think I'm not going to give Penn State enough credit to say like they're this awesome team or whatever. They're a very solid team, but they're a team I think that you could put a game plan together and go beat in their place. And so, but you got to get yourself to a certain point of it. Like you just have to give yourself a chance to win. And that's why it does make a difference sometimes in how you play the first half. Maybe you don't play quite as fast. You're literally trying to get to that last 10-minute mark, in a 5-point game. As long as you're within 5 with 10 minutes to go, you are easily within a chance to win a game. And I think Indiana has to play with a mindset of give ourselves a chance in the last 10 minutes of the game, and then anything can happen.
Yeah, without question, but they're going to have to continue the level of play that they had last night, and that's something we haven't seen a lot. They kind of sometimes seem to leave that in Bloomington instead of taking that fire with them.
Yeah, and look, a lot of it's energy, a lot of it is excitement, a lot of it is being able to have confidence and playing off of the momentum. And last night they were able to do that. And you know, I think when the students get back, and you know, that was not a raucous crowd last night in Assembly Hall.
Kind of subdued, to be honest with you. I mean,
but that's what's to be expected when the students aren't around. It's not a big CBS game and all that. Like that's to be expected. But you know, as the season moves on, every game is going to have, you know, the lights are going to get a little brighter. And I think this team is trending positively. Like, I think we should be looking at it. They didn't show up, you know, duds with no energy last night in a game where they kind of had to create their own energy because the crowd wasn't doing it for them. And so I give them a lot of credit for that. That was a good. You could have laid an egg last night and let Ace Bailey beat you, and they didn't. And I do give them credit for that for sure.
Absolutely. Todd Leary from myjumpshot.com. Make sure you go there. Makes a great gift, by the way. Appreciate you, brother. Have a great weekend.
Same to you. Look forward to it. See you.
You betcha. Hello, sports fans. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications toggle so you never miss a thing. All of our content up here every day. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and we'll see you on the radio.